Hello friends. Now let us take up the second concept in our training session 1, computer basics. This is all about components of a computer. In the previous concept, means the first concept, I explained about the computer system and its modus operandi from real life angle. By that I think you understood the modus operandi of a computer in general terms. Now we must learn technical. First, we have to understand a concept generally, then we can own it, and then we have to learn technically. That is our strategy. Now, let us learn this concept technically. Already I explained to you about hardware. Hardware means all components of a computer which are tangible and visible are called as hardware, and it can be classified into four group: electrical, electronic, mechanical and magnetic components of a computer are called hardware. Now simply with the description you cannot understand what is that technically. That's why let us classify all the components in a computer. You know that in a computer tens of components are there, but those are meant for doing certain things. Now, let us take into consideration of their functionalities and classify them into 6 units. And they are input unit, output unit, memory unit, arithmetic and logic unit, control unit, and secondary storage unit. Just simply remember input, output, memory, ALU, CU, and secondary storage unit. As I told you already, whenever you are learning a concept, just register in your brain. By repetition, you can get it. Okay. Now I have given a diagram. Just it gives a outline picture. You don't bother about much, and just to see that how those are situated in a computer. Simply having a look, you can have an idea. You need not bother about the technical. Later you understand. Technically, you can understand it later. Those are situated like that. Here, two types of lines I have drawn. One is thick line, other one is dotted line. Now, what is that? You may get it out. Thick lines represent data, dotted lines represent instructions. Now you get it out. What is data, what is instruction? Simple way. 4 plus 5 is there. 4 plus 5. Simple statement we have written in a program. 4 and 5 are data items. Plus is there. Plus represents what? To add. This is an instruction. So, computer passes two types of data. One is data. Data means like 4, 5. This is data. This is instruction. Simply you understand that. And computer transmits two types of things. One is data, other one is instruction. Then only this type of operations are performed. Simply having a look, you can have an idea, basic idea. Later, once you understand about all these components, you can have a better idea. That point you have to understand. Now, I explain about all these 6 units briefly and practically. By that, simple one-time watch is enough. You can have the concept. After watching this concept or just going through the concept once, thereafter you will be in a position to explain this concept. That is the objective of the system. That's why within 120 hours of your preparation, you will be evaluated as an industry programmer for your first software job. That point you have to understand. This is clearly demonstrating my strategy. Okay. Now I explain about the units one by one. First one is input unit. Input unit means it is a receiving section. For any system, a receiving section is required. Take a flour mill. This is a flour mill. In the flour mill, this is here they put grain. This is input section. Inside grinding it done. That is processing section. This is output section. So for every system, IP4s are required. That is input section is required. So that is a receiving section. Receiving section receives data and stores in the computer. Here one term I have to explain to you. Many people loosely use two terms synonymously, data and information. Actually, it is not wrong, but being a computer programming student, you must know the difference between data and information. Data means you take it as raw data. Information means processed data. Simple example I give you. A student's mark report is there. Student mark report, certain data you enter, and thereafter all the data is processed, and along with the information it is printed as output. That means mark report is printed. Here, what is data? Student's name, class number, roll number, marks. Suppose 5 papers are there, marks in 5 papers. These are input data that you enter. Mohan, class number 10, roll number 11, marks 40, 55, 62, 71, 83. Like that you enter. Thereafter, once this data is provided to a program processes it and ultimately it generates output. That is marks report of the student. That is information. In that, additional information is there. What is additional information? Total marks, percentage of marks, grade of the student, etc. And those are printed in a format that is called information. Just don't loosely use any word. Data for outsiders, laymen, anything is okay. But being a professional student, whatever term you are using, you must know the clear difference between them. Data means raw data, information means processed data. That point you have to understand. Here, input unit. This is the receiving section. It receives all types of data, then that is stored in the computer. Here, data also you have to take in a broader meaning. Broader meaning means data means most of you think text, not only text, images, audio, video, global GPS, global positioning system, and barcodes. All that are data. Data means you have to think in a broader sense. Text, images, audio, video, GPS, barcode, all this is data. You have to think in a broader manner. Through different input devices, we transmit, we give this data to a computer. It is stored in the computer memory. The little after a minute, I will explain what are the input devices. Thereafter, output. Actually, input simply data is stored in a computer. What is the use? How can you get benefit out of that? That's why data should be processed and it should be displayed. Once it is displayed, then only you can get benefit out of that. Already I told you, student mark report. In that you entered certain data, let us say 8 items. Then after processing and all that, your marks report is printed with 11 or 11 plus data item. That is the information. It should be displayed or it should be printed. All that is required. For that purpose, output devices are required. That is output section. Computer is having input section as well as output section. Already floor mill I showed you. Floor mill input section is there. There you put grain and it is processed. Thereafter you get the floor. Where floor is delivered, that is the output section. So second one is output unit. Third one is memory unit. Actually, memory where data is stored. Suppose you send data, you send text, you send image, you send audio, you send video to the computer. It should be stored in a memory unit. Actually, our body system also, human part, it is stored in the brain. Otherwise, there is no use. So, memory system actually it is divided into two units. That is a temporary memory unit and permanent memory unit. Now we are talking about temporary memory unit. It is also known as primary memory, or RAM, random access memory. Okay, whatever data we send, first it is stored in the uh, memory unit, and if you want to store it in the permanently, then what you have to do? Whatever data is stored in the temporary memory, then it is to be transferred to the permanent memory, that is secondary memory unit. Little later I am going to explain. Actually, this memory unit is divided into billions of bytes. Each byte is a small unit, and billions of bytes, and each byte is numbered. That is called address. In this memory unit only, first data is stored. Thereafter, if you want to send it to secondary memory for permanent usage, you can do that. Now, through this figure, I am going to demonstrate what are the input devices, what are the output devices, as well as IO devices. Devices means input and output devices. Okay, simply seeing a figure, it is imprinted in your brain. Wherever it is possible, just you see the corresponding figure. Sometimes I may not give, most times I give. Otherwise, you Google it and find out the corresponding figure. Then, without reading, just by having a look, it is registered in your brain. Whenever you want to explain this concept, or you have to write an examination, your job will be easy. Okay, first I will explain the list of input devices. Actually, whatever list I am giving is not ultimate. Actually, whatever list is there today, that is valid. After some time, some devices may be outdated and new devices may come. And for example, previously floppy disk is there. It was very popular 10 years back. Now, this generation may not know about floppy disk. Understand? At that time, it was so popular. It was the only device, main device, and now nobody is using. Like that, whatever list I am giving, currently it is valid. Okay, that point you have to understand. Those are keyboard, mouse, scanner, barcode reader, internet, GPS system, global positioning system. Google Maps. Google Maps work based on GPS system only. Through GPS, the input data is given, microphone and web camera. Just once you see the concept, you repeat, you recite it, then you can easily remember keyboard, mouse, uh, that is a scanner, barcode reader, internet, GPS, microphone, and web camera. These are the input devices. Through them, we can send different types of data. Already I told you, text, images, audio, video, positioning systems, etc. and all that. These are purely input devices. Next, output devices. Actually, through output devices, we display the data. Data means data, processed data, semi-processed data, all that we can display through output devices. Those are mainly, that, monitor. Through monitor screen only, you can display the data. Monitor screen, printer, projector, scanner, modem, etc. And modem is IO. Okay, these four mainly remember: monitor, projector, printer, speaker, and internet also. Whatever data you process through internet, you can transmit. So that is output devices. And some devices are there. Those are IO. Those are useful for both input and output. Output, those are touch screen. You know that in bank ATMs and all that, touch screen displays, and if you have to give any command and all that, by touching the corresponding command, you can give input. Touch screen, headset. Here, don't confuse. Headphone is different. Headphone is output device. Actually, by putting headphone, you can listen audios. Headset is there, and audio, and you can send data also. That is headset. Headset is output device, and you can send data, and headphone is only output. Headset is IO device, and headphone is output device. That point you have to understand. Webcam, camera, pen drive, DVD drive, etc., and internet. These are IO devices. So, like this, as I told you already, these time to time new devices are introduced and some devices may be outdated. That point you have to understand. Now, just as a matter of integrity, as far as person is concerned, a human being you take, what are the input devices and output devices? Organs, that is ear, eye, nose. These are input organs. And as far as mouth is concerned, both input as well as output. In this way, from general real life angle also, you have to understand. The fourth component in a computer is arithmetic and logic unit. Simply, it is known as ALU. That means this is meant for performing arithmetical operations as well as logical operations. Without performing these operations, we cannot take a decision. Computer also, without performing these operations, cannot take a decision. Now, simply explain like this, you may not understand. I give a simple example. By that, you can understand what are the logical operations, what is the need of them, and what are the arithmetical operations. Suppose a superbazaar offers a discount of 5% on sales of 1000 rupees or more. Actually, if you purchase 1000 rupees or more, you are entitled for 5% discount. This is the offer. So, this program you created, in that you have to create arithmetical and logical operations. Now, what are the logical operations? First I tell you. A logical operation. Actually, every customer purchases something. 590, 920, 1190, 1520. Like that, different bills are there. So, first through logical operations, whether customer is eligible for discount or not is calculated. Suppose one customer purchases worth of 590 rupees. Then first it is checked up whether he is eligible or not. Eligible or not. So here what is that? 1000 or more is eligible. So 590 greater than or equal to 1000. Like this you write. So this is false. 590 is not greater than 1000. Then it is false. If it is false, his discount is 0. Just understand that. If he purchases 999 also, that is false, then his discount is 0. Then how much he has to pay? 590 minus 0 he has to pay. That means whole bill he has to pay. This is one example. This is logical operation. What is the arithmetical operation? Here that I tell you. Suppose some customer purchases 1250. His bill is 1250. Now we write that 1250 is greater than or equal to 1000. Then what is that? True. If it is true, what happens? Then he is eligible for discount. How much discount? 1250. 5% is calculated. 5% is calculated. That is 62 rupees 50 paise discount. Here you see what you are calculating. 5% you are calculating this way. That is multiplication and division. You are making by that 62 rupees 50 paise discount is eligible. Then one more operation is to be calculated. What is that? 1250 minus 6250. Then that is the total bill. That is the total bill. So how many arithmetical operations you performed? Multiplication, division and subtraction. 3 arithmetical operations you performed. Here this is logical operation. So for logical for representing logical operations, several signs we have: greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. These are all logical operations. So simply I'm explaining because I don't want to explain anything in abstract manner. That's why through simple example I explain. If I have to explain in detail, it takes a lot of time. We are distracted. That's why what is the purpose of ALU, arithmetical logical unit? I explained. This is the fourth component. Fifth component is CU, that is control unit. Actually, here many components are there. When many components are there, every component is doing its job. Who will control them? Take an office. If you take an office, in office several departments are there. Accounts department, finance department, marketing department, production department, personal department. Like that, many departments are there. Then there is a CEO, that is Chief Controlling Officer, and then because Chief Executive Officer, through him only, whatever may the name, is the controller. Under his control, all departments work in a synchronized manner. Then only the task of the organization is performed. So this is like a CEO. CEO is control unit. So here many input unit is there, output unit there, memory unit is there, secondary memory unit is there. All that should be synchronized and in a coordinated manner. They have to perform job. That is called control unit. You simply understand it is CEO, Chief Executive Officer of a company. Like, and one thing you must understand, this both together called CPU. All of you heard of this, that is control processing unit. Actually, this CPU, both together are called CPU. Actually, here in the beginning itself, I told you, depending on the functionalities, I am dividing them ALU and CU, but it is central processing unit. Both together is known as CPU. This is a difference you have to understand. Okay, this is the fifth one, and the sixth one, secondary storage unit. Actually, this is also a memory unit. But what is the difference between primary memory and secondary memory? Primary memory already I explained to you. Whatever data you are processing, that is stored in the primary memory, that is the third unit, simply called memory unit. But once power goes and all that, whatever data is there, it is wiped off. We cannot get it. So we want to store data permanently. For that purpose, secondary storage unit is available. Secondary storage unit is called hard disk or fixed disk. Every computer is having a fixed disk, a hard disk. Its size is huge. It is megabytes, it is gigabytes, and petabytes and all that. It is a huge memory there. Everything is stored permanently. Whenever you want a particular data, you can get it. A simple example I give you. By that, you can easily understand what is the difference between primary memory and secondary memory. What are the advantages of that? Actually, now you are creating your biodata. One file you are creating, my biodata, one one Word document you created. Okay, first you created all the data you filled. Then it is initially when you are operating, it is while development and all that, all the operations are performed in primary memory, that RAM. Thereafter, not one time and all that, you want to store it permanently. Then what you have to do, you have to transfer. Once you save it, where it goes, if primary memory to secondary memory, it goes. Secondary memory means hard disk, or external disks also there. External hard disks are there, CD-ROMs are there, DVDs are there, pen drives are there. All these are permanent storage devices. So it goes to here, secondary memory. And one more thing you have to understand. After some time, you want to change the address, or otherwise you got new qualification. However, you want to make some changes in your my biodata document. But where it is stored? Now it is stored here. Now, whenever you want to make changes or performing operations, what should be done? It should be called back to RAM. RAM, primary memory. In primary memory only you can perform any operations. After making the changes and all that, again, if you want to change the modified document, you have to store in the secondary storage. This is the thing. In a secondary storage, like your storeroom. Storeroom, you cannot make any cooking and all that. If you have to make cooking and all that, you have to bring whatever provisions are required. You have to bring it to kitchen and do that. So it is like a kitchen. Here processing is done. This is a permanent storage. So whatever you want to store, you have to store it here. Whenever you want to make modification or deletion or anything, it should be done in primary memory only. So these are the 6 units. You understand this. Otherwise, second time watch, but one shot after watching this, you should own the concept. Otherwise, if you have anybody and all that, explain them. Once you explain this concept, then you permanently you can own it. If you want to forget also, you cannot forget. That point you have to remember and proceed.